Hey everybody, my name's Beth Gay Freeman, and today we're going to start about genealogy and Scotland. Well, about genealogy. It's great fun, and I'd like to tell you today about my own most excellent genealogical adventure. And really what the title of this is you too can just have a great time and learn all manner of things about your genealogy. And you will be surprised, I promise you. I reckon I've done genealogy since before I could read and write, as my grandmother would tell me tales of her growing up with her family in the West Florida wilderness that was her own home. My mom gave me a small white Bible when I was 6 years old, and I discovered the pages for family members and their birth, their marriage, their death dates. It was all in the middle of that Bible. Meant, bless my granny's heart, unceasing questions from me to her about all of our family. As I grew up, I realized I was mostly Scottish. MacDonald, Phillips, Cone, Henderson, Allen, and a couple of other names which were in the correct places to be allied to Clan Donald on my mother's side of the family. I learned of many other Scottish surnames as I studied my father's family, as my maiden name, Palmer, is allied to the Clan Home, an infamous Border Reaver family. Gibson and Buchanan, Birch, Hill, and some other Scottish district families. I would trudge from one genealogy library to another and spend days staring at microfilm and microfiche and going patiently through dusty book after dusty book. Computers had not been invented yet, so far as I knew. All of those years I would maybe learn one birth date or one place somebody was born per dozens of libraries I would visit. It was slow work. Today, I call it genealogy BC, genealogy before computers. When I started to work in about 1990 for a library in South Georgia and began my 100-plus hour work weeks, genealogy moved down the line in importance in my life from a 10 to maybe a -5. Many years were spent on working with genealogy, talking about it, but not doing much, if any, work on it. Just after the beginning of about 4 years ago, Tom and I decided to have our DNA done by Ancestry.com. For me, when it returned, there were not many surprises, as I already had figured out that I was a genuine, real, 100% Scottish mutt. However, I did not know about the 2% Russian my DNA said I was. I did not know about the Irish folks either. The results said I was 96% from Great Britain, and the other 2% was Scandinavian. Tom came back 92% Great Britain, and the rest from all over the world. We decided to join Ancestry.com. Holy cow! I have learned more in a few months with Ancestry.com than I had learned during my entire life BC, before computers. When I go to a genealogy speech anywhere, I try to always tell everybody about the numbers involved in your family tree. There's one of you, 2 parents, 4 grandparents, and 8 great-grandparents. If you do that for only 20 times, you will come to an unbelievable number of 1,400,000 plus people who are directly related to you in just 20 generations. That number is really true. If you don't believe me, next time you have to wait in the dentist's office or in traffic or something, get out your handy-dandy little calculator and start with 1 and double it, and that's 2, and double it, and that's 4, and double it, and that's 8. And by the time you do that only 20 times, it'll be more than 1,400,000 people. Please now continue to hear my adventure and genealogy as you, every single person, can do the very same thing. I always tell folks when I do my talks that without fail, everybody from fancy folk to the homeless man you see on the corner, everybody has kings and queens and aristocrats in their families. To tell you the truth, I always thought, while saying that in one of my speeches, everybody but me. I must tell you that in the Clan Henderson Society, the goal of genealogy is to discover that you are from Fordell Castle. So early on in my Ancestry.com adventure, I was following my Henderson line back in time. I found a lady whose name was Margaretta Bruce, who had been buried at Fordell Castle. Holy cow, I thought, even if she were a maid or a cook or something, they let her be buried there. Turned out she was the wife of Baronet William Henderson of Fordell. I went to the next generation and learned that my 5th great-grandfather was also born and married there at Fordell Castle. Imagine my delight to see, over the next few stolen hours at the computer, that from my 5th all the way to my 12th great-grandfathers on the Henderson side were barons of Fordell. The last one, Sir William Henderson, was killed at the Battle of Pinkie, 10 September 1547. I've learned that my 25th great-grandfather was Donald MacDonald, 2nd Lord of the Isles and 9th Earl of Ross, and further back from him was Angus Ogg. Angus Ogg was 6th Lord of the Isles. He was my 27th great-grandfather, which led to Somerled and even further beyond. Imagine my surprise when Robert the Bruce showed up on my computer screen as my 33rd great-grandfather. Almost beyond surprise now, I found that James Stuart, King of Scotland, is my 17th great-grandfather, and that my family includes Robert Stuart, King of Scotland from 1316 to 1319, and all of the Stuart kings of Scotland. Now, I wrote this article that I'm giving to you today several years ago. Just in the last day or two, I found that I have another connection to the Stuart kings of Scotland. I think it's my 12th grandmother was Catherine Stuart, and her father was the King James the Fourth of Scotland. Now, her mother wasn't the queen. Her mother was his favorite mistress. So, I'm not promising you now when I tell you that you can find fancy people and kings and queens in your family tree. You're probably also going to find a few hiccups. But what does it matter all this time that has passed? St. Margaret, and I've been in her chapel at Edinburgh Castle many times. She is my 38th great-grandmother, with King David, my 37th great-grandfather. I did find part of my Russian heritage in that my 39th great-grandmother is Anna, whose name Anna Agnes Yaroslav of Kiev, known as Anna of Kiev. She was also Princess Ingigerd of Sweden. She married King Henry of France, whose first 2 wives had died. So that means I'm kin to him too. Most surprising of all, my 43rd great-grandfather is Charlemagne, and my 43rd great-grandmother was Hildegard Empress of the Holy Roman Empire. You can do this too. Along the way, I've noted, and it's been a couple of weeks since I tried to list them all, so there are lots more now. I am a Scottish mutt for sure. I'm tied to 86 district families and Highland clans by blood, just so far. I'm not nearly finished. I've found men who have given their lives for Scotland's freedom in about all the battles I've read about from Pinkie to Flodden Field. I've found countless, and it does seem to me, countless lords and ladies and folks who were important to their part of the world in their time. One of my great-grandmas was lady-in-waiting to Queen Elizabeth I. One of my great-grandpas went on the Third Crusade with King Richard the Lionheart. I found one gentleman, Richard Neville, 16th Earl of Warwick, Knight of the Garter, who was known as Warwick the Kingmaker. His life would make a great movie. I found such sad stories of lives cut short by the politics of the day and the superstitions of the day, and so many children who did not live past infanthood. To me, genealogy is a never-ending tale of lives lived. Every life interesting, fascinating, and wonderful to know and learn about. I wonder sometimes what those illustrious people of their times would have thought if they knew they would have a descendant who turned out to be me. The one thing that I can say to them, which I have to believe is the same thing most of these folks would say to me if they could, was, I've done my best. I've always been fascinated by history, and this just amplifies that, as now somebody whose blood runs in my own veins was really there taking part. It is true. We are all kin to fancy folk and to those not so fancy. Did I mention that I adore computer genealogy? And by the way, if I can learn it, you can too. If you'd like to get my publication that I do, it's free, and it's called Beth's Newfangled Family Tree. And this is how to get it. It's free. Just go to this address. I do believe it's https://electricscotland.com/BNFT. And if you go to that website, guess what? You can see the latest issues, and I've been doing it on the internet now for many, many years. You'll find the entire set of archives there as well. Hope we get to do this again. If so, I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.